Welcome to Through the Lane Podcast. We're doing a NFL Draft special run. I'll be bringing back Carmine for a little bit. He's going to be joining us talking about football. One of my majors is pointing towards scouting, and so I started that this year, working on it. Started with the Senior Bowl, wrote some notes down. I wanted to do a little bit of an episode, a little series. Watching Todd McShay, so I wanted to cover the NFL Draft. It's a very interesting draft. A lot of uncertainty. A lot of basing things on projections, and everyone's mock draft, at least this far, and I don't remember it being like this, is all over the place. Like Todd McShay's got Josh Connery as his top 10 best player, and some people have him 39th. It's all over the place. I'm using Tankathon right now. I'll pull up another one. Because it's all over the place. We'll do Pro Football Focus. They just updated theirs. Yeah. Okay. It's a very interesting class. We're mainly just going to be talking about the winners and losers this week from the Senior Bowl. And some guys that stood out. Some things I like. Some risers I have from watching general tape, as I'm just now starting to watch some just general tape from it. So we'll dive into that. Oh, they have Walter Nolan going that late, but let me pull up another mock draft so that there will be a few people probably on here just because it adds variety. It's kind of all over the place. And then probably after my next mock draft, which will be next week, you will start seeing trades. I'm going to try to incorporate trades in this a little bit. Not this week because there's more that's going to come out. And, we'll be talking, Myles Garrett. Friday's episode will have Myles Garrett, him wanting to be traded in the Rams. Myles Garrett's going to have game-shattering implications just because of what he'll get a haul. They'll get a haul for him. I think they trade him. But now that everything's set, we're gonna get started. And first off, I'm just gonna talk about some risers, right? Big guy that I saw rise would be Gray Zabel. Don't know his name, learn it. Massive rising. He comes in as a tackle. He's got shorter arms. So they kick him inside to guard, right? And he wins every rep. And center. So he'd pretty much go start at left guard, do his one-on-one. And so because they go tackle, guard, center, right, tackle, or guard, tackle, and then start back over. So he'd go guard, center, guard, center, guard. He'd flip back over. And he was pretty much running at all times. And through the first 2 days, he won every battle. And when they did 10 plays, team drills, he won every battle. Day 3, I think he got a little worn down, and some guys were starting to figure him out a little bit. But he still looked pretty good. And that versatility of him being a game changer with his versatility and being really good, and the success level that's come from North Dakota State has been huge. He played, what was the notes on him? Strong, versatile. I have him going to the Bears or the Patriots because they need help. He looks great at guard or center. Some people have him ticketed at center. I think he can play guard, a tackle in a pinch like Joe Thuney. But, man, I think he overall won the Senior Bowl. Another guy that flew up, Tez Johnson. He's a Ladd McConkey top level skills in a Tank Dell body. I think that will help him. Now the issue that came in with Tank Dell was injury, durability. We're now seeing Tank Dell deal with injuries. I think his was kind of just based off just freak accident. But again, it'd be a bit of an issue. But he looked good. He was virtually uncoverable. Now, some of the routes he was running was kind of stupid, where he's chopping his feet and taking off. And, that you cannot do in a game, because it's bang, bang, bang. In the one-on-ones, it was like you have 7 seconds. And now you got 4 seconds. You've got to be out. You cannot be just waiting there for 2-3 seconds and then bursting out everything, bursting into your route. But he looked really good, quick release, great route running, shifty. The thing will be he is a slot only. Like he will only ever be in the slot. Only. Cannot play outside. He's not physical enough. He came in, I think, at 156. He's 5'10". So he'll be mainly slot ever. Another guy, Josh Carnery, he looked good. I watched Todd McShay podcast. I have him now as top 5 tackle. Kelvin Banks fell for me. I have him falling. Josh Simmons. Armand Membu, guy that was scheduled to play, got sick, did not play in the Senior Bowl. Watch his tape. I recommend it. Yeah, I mean, dude is physical. He's a monster. He's a monster. Great run blocker. I love it. A little too overextends with his hands a little too much, but it looks good. And he's a really good pass protector, especially at right tackle. I like him more at right tackle than I do at left tackle. But, him, Josh Carnery, Armand Membu looked really good. Wyatt Willem, who's another tackle coming into this season, who was supposed to be a top tackle, doesn't look, he was up and down, back up the first, early second. He had an up and down Senior Bowl. I would have him as he pretty much stayed even. He's going to have to develop. He looks more at guard. Him running at tackle, you were able to swipe his hands down, beat him around the outside. He just the feet weren't fast enough. I love him at guard. Think he'll need a little bit of work at guard, but I think he looks really good there. A tight end that stood out so much, and I think on a lot of people, past Harold Fanning, and I'm going to have to watch some of his tape. I probably will do that tomorrow, tonight. Elijah Arroyo. Man, he's fast. He's agile. Deep threat. He's more of a Brock Bowers, I guess. He's not a guy you're going to line up on the inside on the hip of your tackle a lot, right? He's more of he's going to be in the slot. He's going to be kind of between the slot and the tackle kind of guy, or back of the, not on the line as a tight end, but kind of a little bit further back. But, I mean, I really like him. Great route running. I mean, he was beating everybody all week long. Azariah Thomas had a great day one. Kind of looked like another guy in the next 2 days. But, I mean, the day one was pretty good. A second-round corner for me. I'd say he boosted his stock. A guy that hurt his stock, faller, Deone Walker. He is tall, though. Oh, I wrote tall. 6'7". But he gets too tall, no attack plan. He just bad pad level. He stands straight up. And, Gray's able, or guys like that, get under his pads and kind of just moving him. He kind of just trying to brute force you out of the way. There's not like a bull rush, swim, rip. He wasn't attacking it well. He had a better, as the week went on, he got better, but I think he hurt himself, showing that he needs a lot of help. And we're going to talk about a guy that I think hurt himself a good bit. Back to the slot position, Xavier Restrepo, who I think is actually ahead of Tez Johnson after the week went on. Is kind of shifty like Tez, but he's bigger. I think will do better, can play more. Tez Johnson's floor is a really good return man. Really good return man. His ceiling is a number 2 slot. Not like a number 2 receiver, but he stays in the slot. Tyreek Hill-esque. I think has a better upside than Tank Dell because of the quick twitch, the great route running. I think Tank Dell is more of a physical threat, which does not bode well for him due to his size. But Restrepo, I mean, one of the first things I wrote here is nasty route. I think it was a stick route. When he he saw it and cut up field, and that guy went flying to the sideline. It's a great rep. I think the ball was missed, but it was a great route. He looked really good. He was always open. I'm kind of just working my way down through here, through the first page. Marcus Bowe, he was supposed to be a top tackle prospect. Looks better at guard. Again, but he has massive potential. Going to need a lot of development, though. He's got a low floor. He was kind of slow off the jump. He wasn't very explosive kicking out in pass pro. Kind of would just get beat around the edge, get his hands back down. I think his arms were kind of smaller. Let me look up. Because the 33 team did a great job keeping up with this. And when you look at Tez, yeah, Tez came in 5'9" and a quarter, 156. Who else? Xavier Restrepo, 5'9" but 200. The size difference is massive. Mambu, he's 332. His hands. He's got shorter hands, 33 1/8. I'd like to see him have bigger hands, longer arms. Longer arms. What about Bo? Bo's just straight up 33-inch arms. It kind of bites him in the butt. Millum, again, 32 5/8. I think the good is like average. The Mendoza line is what it's called. Would be 34, high 33, 34-ish. A lot of guys here are 33s. Clay Webb's got 32, and Clay Webb did decent. A guy that I loved and is probably going to be a late round pick just because of the school he came from, Jackson Slater from Sacramento State, the center. He held his own and won a lot of the battles. I love what I saw from him. I don't think he'll be a top pick, but I think he'll be a day 3 pick with a good chance of starting. Along with Jonah Monheim, the center from USC, just a dog. Strong, great feet. I just love good anchor. Really good. A guy that kind of fell, Jonah Savania, just looked like an average, just fit in too well. He didn't stand out, and I wasn't a big fan of that. Who was I looking for here? Bo. Yeah, he's got 33-inch arms, 309, 6'4". I think he profiles more as a guard. A lot of these tackles, Willem, Sable, and Bo all profile as guards. They just look better at guards. Who is Rivers? There's a guy, Caleb Rivers. He looked pretty good. He's got smaller arms. I think he's a guard. Played tackle, guard, and center. I think he looked better at guard. Probably a day 3 guy, but he looked pretty good. Carson Vincent, the kid from Alabama A&M. He's huge. 6'6", 314, 35-inch arms. That is one hell of an arm. He's going to be able to get out in front of guys. Anthony Benton, another guy that had a pretty darn good Senior Bowl. Again, some of these guys, when I talk about them, aren't going to be guys that you see in the first 2 rounds, right? They're going to be 3rd, 4th, 5th. Guys who probably went from being undrafted to drafted guys. Or guys who went back of the door, day 3 to day 2, moving up. And guys that just stood out for me. Anthony Bellum, 6'5", 345, 34-inch arms. I looked pretty good. I don't have him. He'd probably be 3rd round guy, 3rd, 4th round guy because he looked a little bit more polished. But Ariante Ursary, he's right above him on the listing here. Didn't have that good of a week. He kind of fit in, lost a good bit. He's got potential. Do I have him on here? I do not. Don't think so. I hope y'all can't see these notes because it's just chaos. And then we'll pretty much go through my notes so far and just move through them. But Mike Green, this is the thing I love about the Senior Bowl. So you have a guy coming from Marshall, led the country in sacks. The issue is competition and size. Was a little undersized during the year. They wanted to see him around 250. I think he came in at 256. And let's look here. 251. Yeah. He came in, he bulked up, it looked good, came in, and, looked, from the first day, looked really fast. It was looking like he didn't have enough power. And day 2, he came in to make a statement. I had him as a 2nd round pick because I thought he was going to need some work. Day 2 comes in, he runs through Josh Conner at 1st round tackle. Just bull rushes him and puts him on his butt. And it was massive. And from that point forward, I was like, he can beat you with the speed, he can beat you with the power. First round pick, moving up. I think, he'd be great for the Lions, but I think he's going to go too high up for the Lions. He's going to be a guy that, mid-round, between 10 and 20, you'll see him kind of go off the board here. He had a fantastic senior bowl, had fast, explosive, first-round pick like talent. Josiah Stewart, I had right below him, fast and physical. Day 2 guy, second or third round pick. A guy that won't be, I think he has a high floor, but a low ceiling. He's not going to be a guy, he doesn't insanely wow you. He's explosive, but once the contact happens, he's not like bull rushing you to the ground, blowing past you on the outside. He kind of has to work for it a little bit more. I see him more of a rotational guy. Starter that gets you about 6-7 sacks, which is not bad, but not first round worthy at all. Trying to look at here. Dillon Gabriel, great arm. I had him clocked into 74 miles an hour. The comp for him is a lesser Tua. I think he might be Tua-esque. But Tua has hurt his stock. Tua has to play in a certain system, right? And if you take him out of the system, then he's not that good. He has to play in the system. I think Dillon Gabriel can play in multiple systems to where it's not confined to one coordinator or one guy. I really like Dillon Gabriel. He'd probably be QB4 for me. QB3 is Jackson Dart, and QB5 is Joe Milroe. And we'll talk about him later on, because I was watching some James Pierce Jr. tape because I didn't know much about him and I wanted to learn. And two other guys stood out on that field more when I watched the Tennessee Bama tape than James Pierce. And one's good, one's bad. Shemar Stewart, strong, explosive, powerful. I have him above Nick Scorin, his teammate. Nick Scorin, they say his power, he didn't wow me really good in the run, but as a pass rusher, nothing really stood out to me there. But Shemar Stewart, he is physical. He is explosive, powerful. I'd like to see a bit more speed around the edge. But, man, he will run through your face. I think they said he had about as many sacks during the Senior Bowl week than he did in his entire college football career. And that's what you like to see, because he's going against NFL-level talent. Not like he wasn't at Texas A&M, but like other guys who are definitely going to be in the league. And, he looked good. He'd probably be back half because he's got some work to do. Him and Nick Scorin are going to be a little bit of projects. But I think the floor for Shemar is higher. I think Shemar is more of your traditional edge. He can, and then if 3-4 kick him inside, and what did he come in at? $281. Yeah, you can kick him in on a 3-4. He looked good. Looked really good. Maxwell Hairston, I don't have him much on here, but, scouts loved what they saw from him. Darian Porter, he's 6'2". He's got long arms, 6'7" wingspan. This kid probably be a third-round pick, then a first-round pick or second-round pick, because there's some work that needs to be done with him. He kind of got beat in coverage at times. He just needs to be able to trust his eyes, read the field, work on his instincts a little bit. But, the potential's there for him to be a starting corner and a big-time corner. Moving through. Walter Nolan. I wrote down Jalen Carter-esque. I don't think it's dominant as Jalen Carter, but I think the way that he can control the middle of the field, pass rush, be just a force is there. I think he could be Jalen Carter level, but I think he's not. He's nowhere near Jalen Carter was when he came in, but I think he'd work his way up there. I think he could do a great job. Clay Webb is next. Great feet, strong. That underlined. TJ Sanders, D-tackle from South Carolina, explosive. I think he moved his way up. Princey Uman Manyelan, I think that's his name. Again, looked like a little bit more of like another guy on there. He didn't really step out I had him in the first round. Didn't really stand out as a first round pick, but I had him as fast and really fast. Looking at his size, I think he's a edge. He's a 4-3 outside edge or a 3-4 outside linebacker. He's not a guy that when you go to the 3-4, you can kick him in as your D end. He is an edge, straight edge. Donovan Ezeraku is a straight edge. Gives me 3-4 outside linebacker vibes. Because he's kind of small. He's 248. Yeah, I mean, he's thin. Would like to see a little bit more size of him. He probably will end up bulking up to where he can play more. But man, Ezeraku had a good day one. Kind of started to fit in more. When I say fit in, he didn't stand out. Like, he didn't. I'm like, wow, that was pretty impressive. He kind of just looked like another guy going through it. Jackson Slater, I already talked about him going up. Omar Norman Lott looks like a late, probably day 3 to around 4 or 5 D tackle where he's not going to stand out like, not Walter Nolan. Where am I going to say that? But he's going to have a long career, probably journeyman-esque, because he's just going to do a good job. I mean, he's going to be a very solid starter in the league or backup that you can rotate in. He's tall. I mean, what did he come in at? Oh, he's 6'1", 6'7" wingspan. But I mean, he's big. 295. Aeneas Pebbles. I didn't write much about him. Pretty good week. Coming out of it. Tim Smith. Grown-ass man is the only way to describe him. I mean, he's a dog. Just bull rushes you strong. I mean, really strong. Again, another guy like Omar Norman Lott, where he won't get taken necessarily high. It's not going to be a flashy pick, but it's going to be like, you can pencil him in and be like, yeah, this guy's going to play a lot for us. He's going to make an impact. Moving down, yeah, Shamar Stewart, I had him arrow up, powerful. Mason Taylor, tight end 4 on this, really kind of 5 between him and Harold Fanning. Harold Fanning kind of didn't stand out until later in the week, and it was kind of concerning, but Mason Taylor stood out. Great route runner, good blocker too. I mean, he's going to be a very good NFL tight end. Probably got to get you about 400 yards receiving a year, about 4 or 5 touchdowns, and be either a tight end 2 or tight end 1, middle of the pack tight end 1. He's not going to be a guy. He may make like 2 or 3 Pro Bowls. He's not going to be, a perennial Pro Bowler like you'll see from maybe Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren. I think Harold Fanning has a higher ceiling than Mason Taylor. And the thing that hurt Harold Fanning is the profile. It looked a lot weird. Like, he looks more as like a slot receiver fullback. And really, when you talk about fullback, the comparison that comes to mind with me is Kyle Juszczyk. And I love that comparison. If you believe you can make Harold Fanning a Kyle Juszczyk, then you make him a Kyle Juszczyk. But you've got to see how he will with blocking, and that'll be stuff that teams that are interested in that do during private interviews. Slot, I mean, let's look at the tight ends, what he came in as. 238, 6'3". But I mean, I really like him. I'm still high on him. I mean, Tankathon has him. They're third. Gunnar Helm. I think Gunnar Helm dropped. I just think he's probably tight end 6. And then Jake Briningstool behind him. But, yeah. And then Terrence Ferguson had a great week. Jackson Hawes. But I think Jackson Hawes is more of a fullback. I mean, I love him at fullback. Again, Kyle Juszczyk, great. Not the runner that you see when I talk about Harold Fanning and Jackson Hawes that you see in Kyle Juszczyk, right? It's the versatility that you get, that he can line up at. Yeah, he starts at fullback. You motion him to slot. You can motion him to tight end. You can bring him from the slot over to tight or fullback. And the reason you do that is because he can line up in the slot and give you a few good reps. Not every down, but 2, 3, 4, 5 good reps at slot. Give you about 10 at tight end and about another 15 at fullback, and you got the job done. I like Hawes more as a traditional fullback because of his blocking ability than I do Harold Fanning. The issue is Harold Fanning's blocking, and that's why you see the slot comparison for him, because the blocking is a bit of concern. Jake Briningstool, I think, is going to be a hell of a blocking tight end. 6'5", 32-inch arms. Terrence Ferguson is going to be a guy that, like, if he blows up, I think he's late day 2, early day 3. He's going to need some work, but I mean the talent's there. He stood out too. But Jalen Milroe holds on the next up, and we'll talk about him in a minute when I get to James Pierce. Holds on the ball too long. He's a project. I was watching Kurt Benkert talk about it, and he's like, he's surely not a first round pick. And Kurt Benkert looks for the good in every quarterback. God love him. And Jalen Milroe throws a great deep ball, but man, like it looks like when the accuracy's rough. I mean, it's really bad. I mean, it is. And I think it's really bad. I think because of Anthony Richardson, it hurt Jalen Milroe because they're cut from the same cloth. I think you could probably say Milroe's more polished and he has more experience, but at the same time, man, Milroe makes some bad misses. I'll talk about it now. When I'm watching James Pierce Jr. in the Tennessee game, the thing that's standing off to me is, man, he's missing throws. And kind of a little bit of the Georgia game. Not really the Georgia game, the Tennessee game. Like, missing throws. His inaccuracy kept Tennessee in that game. If he's on target, Alabama wins that game, but his inability to hit middle of the field throws, and then if you're out route, he's sailing it. Like I was watching it this morning. There's a screen to Kurt Benkert was watching, and the receiver had to jump up and get it. If he puts it out here and the receiver is able to keep running, that receiver goes upfield. But it's just the ball sails or it drops. And the first thing I saw, I liked more watching the lineman, but the first thing I saw with him, and Kurt Benkert was hammering this, was that he starts with his feet. Usually you see a quarterback have one foot staggered back. Milroe's feet are even, and I think it does create a little bit of an issue with his footwork. Again, that's an easy fix, but I mean, that won't completely fix his accuracy. I mean, it is bad. And I mean, it stood out. Like, I get it having a little rough game here and there. I could say, you could say Carson Beck had rough outings. And there's a lot of drops. But man, Milroe, I mean, the balls are sailing. I mean, or hitting the dirt or just not anywhere close. And that's what leading to some interceptions. I mean, he threw one to Jack Kaiser. And it's like an out route. You've got a corner over top. And you've got Jack Kaiser who's bolting back from the middle of the field into, I guess, a flat. And I don't even think he drove the ball well to the receiver that was out there. And Jack Kaiser was able to jump up, get it, pick it off. And Jack Kaiser's a guy that I think was a winner this week. And I'll probably make something. I'm getting an iPad here soon, so make it easier to make. But I mean, it just didn't see him. And there are times of watching the film too, where you're like, throw it. Like, oh, he's open, bang, put it on there. You just got to like unroll. The thing that I love about Jackson Dart when watching his tape was Jackson Dart was like, bang, he's like open, right there. It's quick, out of his hand, quick release. Milroe is like waiting. He's like, open, wait, throw. And you're like, dude, you got to go catch it, rear back, he's open, throw it. And he held on the ball, and that led to accuracy issues. It led to DBs able to get themselves back in the play. It led to picks. I mean, he held on to the ball a little too long. And then at times it led him to getting sacked or him having to use his legs. And, like, his legs are an asset. But if you can hit a good deep throw or a good middle throw and save your body, then do it instead of having to run it. And it just stood out. I mean, that Tennessee game, especially in that second half, I mean, they had to completely get away from the passing attack at one point and just start running the ball because he could not hit a throw, could not hit a slant, could not hit a screen, could not hit a curl. I mean, it was bad, man. And the potential's there. Don't get me wrong. And probably, realistically, someone will sell themselves on Jalen Milroe as a first-round pick. I have him going second or third. But, man, he's going to need a lot of work. I mean, and if you, he's going to need a really good QB coach. And if you end up missing it at all, you've got another Anthony Richardson on your hands. I don't think he has a great of arm deep. I mean, he throws a beautiful deep ball, but he doesn't have the cannon that Anthony Richardson has. And now Anthony Richardson's built like a brick house. But, again, it just doesn't, doesn't look good. TCU, Jack Beck. We're moving on. Jack Bash, his older brother, was killed in the New Orleans attack. Great. I mean, boosted his stock up a lot. Probably round 3, maybe back half of round 2 receiver. In this receiving class, you're going to have some very solid, I guess, 2s and 3s. There's not going to be many number one receivers coming out of this. But you're going to have a lot of 3s and some 2s come out of this. And that's not bad. The thing about this draft class is there's a lot of projects, there's a lot of projection, but it's deep. There's going to be a lot of guys who have good careers in the NFL. There's going to be good players, maybe a few great, and very few elite guys. This quarterback class, Cam Ward and Shedeur, some people have Shedeur as QB3 and have Jackson Dart ahead of him. Cam Ward is, as some people, highest I've seen is 9 on their big board, their overall prospects. I've seen him as low as 17. But he's going to go higher because of the QB needy teams. It's just a bad QB class. And Shedeur, I love his feel. I was watching some tape of him last night, and it looks good. I just think Jackson Dart is built more like a NFL quarterback. And the more I watch Jackson Dart, I'm sold on him. The thing is, though, Shedeur is a great field general. And Kurt Baker said this, and I love it. He's got the pocket presence and, a little bit of the athleticism of C.J. Stroud, but the arm talent and accuracy of Jared Goff. If Jared Goff and C.J. Stroud had a baby, that is the perfect comparison that you could build for Shedeur Sanders. He's not going to be a guy that just wows you, right? Like C.J. Stroud wows you. Cam Ward's got a cannon, great accuracy. People love him as a leader. And I think now it's pretty much set in stone. Unless the Giants or the Raiders trade up, Cam Ward's your number 1 overall pick. And, I think the Titans will take him. My mock draft, I'll say it right away, Titans take him. Right? And I think the Browns will go Abdul Carter because, Myles Garrett's out the door. He wants to go win a Super Bowl. I think the narrative yesterday that it was a poor narrative that Pat McAfee put out there that this was a contract ploy from Myles Garrett. I think it was wrong. And I think that Adam Schefter didn't shut it down when Myles Garrett says, I want to win a title. That's it. I don't want to go just from Cleveland to Canton. I want to ring. That's not a contract ploy. Wow. And then then his camp came out and said again, it's not a contract ploy. That he really wants to get out. And my thing as the Browns is, get it now, because if he starts sitting out, the value of him's going down, because then you're stuck. You've got to then get rid of him. Now you can be like, you can build a narrative, but you got to get rid of him now. And the guy that'd be best to replace him is Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter's going to be a monster, and you've got to take him. I think the Browns can go, Milroe or Gabriel, somebody else. I really don't think Milroe, thinking about it now, because Deshaun Watson's going to be hurt. Probably Gabriel. Gabriel will play for a year. Take him in the 3rd, 2nd round. And, if he does well, you've got yourself a starter. If not, you've got yourself a high-end backup. But back to Jack Bash. Physical, dude. Great body control. It gets up there and, get it for you. Could be an outside receiver. Could be, a 2 to somebody's 1. Very good potential as well. Carson Vincent. Again, describe him as a dog. Scrappy, strong. He wowed. The 3 small school guys were Grace Abel, who I think is a late first. It depends what the Chiefs want to do on the offensive line. If they like Joe Thuney as a tackle, or you just have, or Carson Vincent. He's going to be a little bit more of a project. But I like what I see. And then someone else. Drew a blank. But there's another small school guy who boosted. Oh, Jackson Slater, who's probably going to be a starting center or backup center in this league somewhere. Boosted their stock up. Clay Webb, kind of. Clay Webb was a guy that I think went from undrafted to a 7th round pick. But, he still did pretty good. A guy that I think I have a lot of intrigue with, and will probably be a very late round steal, Woody Marks. I love watching him at USC. I think he did a great job at USC. But I forgot that he was part of that Mississippi State team that had Mike Leach, where he had like 82 catches in a year out of the backfield, most for a running back ever. A really good receiver. Some people have him projected as a guy that will probably move from running back to slot because he's small. I mean, what are we looking at? His name's John Quavius Marshall here. He's 5'10", 215. He looks the part as a slot or, a receiving back, a Samaje Perine type guy. A guy that will find his niche in the league and will play a lot of ball. And will probably run pretty good. I have him as a late round steal. Fast, twitchy, just a very savvy player. Love him. And now to a guy that I think really hurt his stock, Landon Jackson. Some people had him as a late first. I didn't like his production at Arkansas. He didn't produce much at Arkansas, and really, with how bad Arkansas was, if you didn't produce, then I'm not high on you. I had him dropping as a third-round pick. He's not much speed, more power, but doesn't wow you away with power. It's just I have him falling back in the third round. He's going to need some work. He'll be more of a rotational guy. He did not stand out this week or last week, but he kind of just looked the part. And it was a shame, but he just doesn't look like a... He looks like he could be a rotational outside linebacker in a 3-4. Not a defense... He does not look like a defensive end in a 4-3. He has to be an outside linebacker. And I don't know how that will go for him. Again, I wrote more stuff on Marcus Bowe. Said he needs to move to guard. He has some rough reps to tackle. Walter Milam, again, I think I wrote this like twice. Looks good at guard. He'll have some work to transition, but I think he's a second-round level guard. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. The running back, there's a lot of good running backs in this class. It's a deep class. Damian Martinez, loved him at Oregon State. Transfers to Miami. Kind of splits his reps a little bit, but he's a dog. He's a thumper. This guy is going to move mountains himself. He is just a hard-running back who I think will probably go late because of his production. He went to Miami, but he's going to be a dog. Again, I wrote something else on Bo and Zabel. David Walker, kid from, I think it was East Michigan, East Carolina. I had him at, powerful, strong. Dude, he's quick, too. He looked pretty good. Another small school guy. Boosted his stock. Probably late day 2, early day 3 guy, though, you'll probably see get taken there. NC State Belton, solid. Ariante Ursary, he needs work. Will need time. He's not going to be a guy that's going to day one starter that steps in and plays a lot. He'll probably sit for a year or two and then step up. Kind of a guy that I could see going to the Rams or the Eagles. The Eagles, I could see taking him in the second round because a guy that can replace Lane Johnson, because Lane Johnson's getting up there. And if he sat behind Lane Johnson with their offensive line coach, I think Ariante Ursary, I think that's the dream spot for him would be the Eagles. If I said the Lions, I'm sorry. The Eagles. With that offensive line, sitting there, develop for a year or two, and then when Lane Johnson finally retires, you step in and you just keep the ground running. Because there's talent there. It's just he's very raw. Oregon's Caldwell, there's some good D tackles. He's fast and strong, big guy. USC center. I have him as a dude, as strong. Just some guys, because I'm still new to scouting, I just put like dog. He's just really good. Just really, I don't know what about him, but it's just really good. And Jonah Monheim is one of them. Darius Alexander, dog, fast and strong. Kind of reminds me of the Alexander guy that went in the first round for the Cardinals. He didn't do well. More project than he is anything. And he will be a project. Darian Porter, he's going to be a massive project, but massive upside. Jaden Higgins, again, he boosted his stock after a rough first day. Had a much better day, too. Him and his teammate, Jalen Noel, had a great camp. Jalen Noel was ranked as the best receiver out of it. Had a great week. He's a physical slot receiver. What is he listed at? 5'9", but he's 191, but could probably play the outside position. I mean, he looked great, and I love what I saw from him. Kyle Williams, great feet, great feet and fast. Be a great slot receiver, really good slot receiver. I mean, this is a deep slot class. He will probably be a returner early on in his career. Jalen Noel will probably be a guy that plays a decent bit early on in the season, and Jaden Higgins is a guy that will probably take a year or two to get into it. So I pulled up. So watching the James Pierce Jr. tape, a guy that stood out to me was Jeremy McCoy. And man, he's physical. He's aggressive. I love it. He's at Oregon State for a year. He had 4 interceptions last year. He has 6 so far. I mean, through 2 years, which is really good. I view him as a first round pick when he goes out, probably next year's draft. But man, he's a dog. In here, Arroyo, I had him as tight end 5, maybe 3 or 4. I'd move him up to 3, because I just love great route runner. Great route runner. I mean, I recommend watching his tape. It's really good. Tez Johnson, I have him as slot 2, maybe slot 3 behind Jalen Noel. Just because Jalen Noel projects more as a, you could be like, yeah, that's more of an NFL player than Tez Johnson. Tez Johnson needs to put on some size without sacrificing it. And actually, I have Tez Johnson probably as slot 4 behind Emeka Egbuka, Jalen Noel, Xavier Restrepo, and then you have him at 4. I think that's still pretty good. I think that's round 3, maybe 4. And he'll make an instant impact on a team that needs slot work. You know, maybe the Patriots, maybe the Bears. I mean, the Eagles, Cowboys. There's a lot of guys who are going to need slots, and Tez Johnson will be the guy. More stuff. Shamar Stewart, mainly power, but he needs great power. He's going to need to work on his speed a little bit, though. Kyle Kennard. He didn't really step out a lot. Great technique, high motor, back into the second round. I love him so much because watching him be disruptive on defense out South Carolina. If you've not watched his tape, man was a menace. I mean, man was a problem. He caused havoc. Him and Dylan Stewart, who when Dylan Stewart comes out, is going to be a top 10 pick. He's game wrecker. And I mean, I loved what I saw for him. I guess he doesn't project. He doesn't project as high. He's a high floor, low ceiling type of player. And that's fine. You really don't need much more from him. Deon Walker, better day 2, better team. He started getting better pass rushing. Willie Lampkin, a guy who I think went from being undrafted to a round 6 or 7 guy. He's small, about 5'10", but he's a dog. Good fundamentals and technique. He's just solid, man. I mean, he's going to be a guy that will probably bounce around as a backup and, a special teamer, but I love it. Marcus Yarns is going to be another Samaje Perine. Great receiving back. I mean, he was making some catches, burning some linebackers. Great route running. Again, he's going to be a guy that you probably line him up at slot, like motion him from backfield to slot and have him run out there and go run routes. But I mean, man, he's fast. I have him as a third down type back. Jack Bash, really good blocker. Again, Milroe holds the ball too long. Didn't see Kaiser somehow. I mean, it was just kind of like, whoa. Milroe did not have a good week. I think it dropped his stock probably out of the second round. Again, for me at least, some GM will probably end up talking himself into picking him in the first half of the first round too. But he's going to be a guy, they said, he's going to have to sit like Jordan Love did. Most situations, Jordan Love does not sit. You're not going to walk in a situation where the starting quarterback is Aaron Rodgers, and where Aaron Rodgers was in his career. And you're just going to be able, you're going to be moving off of him. Right? Maybe the Lions, because you're looking at, how much longer does Jared Goff have left? Like, how much, Rams maybe? Trying to think here. Maybe the Jaguars. But again, it's a guy that's going to need long-term work. Long-term work. Shamar Stewart, as the week went on, got fat, showed more speed, powerful. Again, first-round pick for me. I love what I saw from him. Emory Jones, who came in supposed to be one of the top tackles in this class. His teammate looks better than him. They had 4 offensive linemen going in this draft, and he looks like the second best one, maybe the third best after Frazier. He's going to need some work, but he has the upside. He just gets out of place sometimes with his hands. He lunges a little too much. He's going to need time. He's going to need work. Again, Jalen Noel in here, stronger slot. Restrepo, bigger slot, great in the slot. Arroyo, moving up. Kyle Williams, great release, great role, slot, outside, or slot or outside receiver. What is his? Let's look at his size here. He's 5'10", 182. I'd have him more as a slot. Dylan Gabriel, sniper. Great going through reads. You can watch him. He go boom, 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 and then back and then throw. Great reader, great understanding. He's going to be the floor as him as a really good backup. Ceiling is a version of Tua, but that's still pretty good. And I like what I saw from him. Tim Smith again, grown ass man. Willem looks good at guard. He got better as the week went on at guard, and that's what you wanted to see. They put him in an uncomfortable situation, and he responded well. Quan Martin was a guy that really stood out as the week wore on. He's smaller linebacker. Let's look at his size. They may have him on here viewed as a safety. No. He's a smaller linebacker. It's Nicholas Martin. He's 6 foot 222. I view him as more of a box safety. Nickel dime maybe. I don't know if he's fast enough for that, but a guy that will probably he's kind of small at linebacker, but he's fast, really fast. Billy Bowman was fast too. Billy Bowman played really well this week. Upton Stout did really good this week as well. 2 guys who really raised their draft stock. Trey Amos kind of just didn't stand out. I know some guys are like, he's a first-round pick, and this might be me overreacting to the Senior Bowl, of course. I have him dropping to the second round. Jahdae Barron is in the first round. Siobhan Reevil, as the weeks go on, he's dropping because we have not seen him play. And we need to see more from him. Another guy that dropped, and who did not have a good East-West showcase, Shiloh. Shiloh played terribly. Did not look like a good safety. Probably a guy that goes undrafted, practice squad. Be bottom of your roster because of his name. Kyle McCord had a good East-West showdown. Again, I just need to see more from him. I need to see him more. I really want to see him at the combine. Another guy I really want to see at the combine, Nick Nash, who I think could end up being slot 1. Slot 2 behind Emeka Egbuka. Because he's so fast. And he put up insane numbers. It's going to correlate somehow. And he's so raw at receiver. He was only his second year playing receiver. So you then give a raw guy that you can mold and shape like Nick Nash to an NFL receivers coach. It's gonna be interesting to watch. But Quan Martin, linebacker safety, hybrid role, really fast, scrappy, just a dog. Love what I saw from him. Dan Jackson, my Georgia guy. It'll be good special teamers. That's about it. Trevor Etienne, he looked good as a receiving back. He wasn't healthy all year, and that was an issue. But I have him raising his stock. Princely Umanmielen was fast. Again, I wrote that. Again, I have him dropping to the second round too. Jack Sawyer and JTT from Ohio State just had really good weeks. Or not really good weeks, really good postseasons. To where I was like, yeah, first round picks. Mike Green had another great, had a great week. Moved him up. So, Landon Jackson definitely fell. But you've got to look at, someone else. And I had that other guy being Princely Umanmielen. And now, just some general scouting notes that I had done. Nick Scorton, fast, kind of cooked when you get a hold of him. Great in the run game, needs work on power moves. And I was reading something from Bleacher Report, and he's like the best power guy. I did not see it, but I'm very raw on this. Great run game. I view him as a second round pick. Again, someone else is, guys are going to be moving back. Guys are going to be jumping from the second round to the first round. I think Scoring's a guy that falls. M'Boom, he's a top 3 tackle for me. I've got to watch Kelvin Bankston, Connor Williams. That would be something I do before the next episode. But, I mean, man, M'Boom's just a freak of nature. You're not going to see anybody as polished as Joe Alt this year. By all means. Will Campbell is going to be close, right? But not, there's still going to be a gap. You're going to see a lot of guys that need work. They're going to need, there are going to be projects. So, I guess their ceiling's as high as Joe Alt, but not his floor. They've got lower floors than him. Like, you knew what you were going to get from Joe Alt. These guys, you're not really 100% sure what you're going to get from them. James Pierce, I wrote notes on fast, needs power, I need to see more in the run game. He's kind of thin, has more of a 3-4 outside linebacker feeling, really good speed rusher, gives up his inside shoulder too much because he tries to bend the edge and he gives up his shoulder when he goes over this shoulder, and then tackles are able to just push him out. James Pierce Jr., he went from being a top 10 pick that a lot of guys haven't gone in the late first, early second, and it's just because, again, needs power, kind of gets caught in the wash in the run game, doesn't make much of an impact, and I know they said that he was, improved in the running game, and that it was better, and Lord knows what that probably looked like beforehand, that if he's improved. But again, just outside linebacker vibes. Maybe 4-3 ends, but he's going to be on the outside shoulder. He cannot be upright with the tackle. He's going to be outside with the tackle. Because with the lack of power, the power is there, but it's not, enough that if a good tackle gets his hands on him, it's over, right? Because he's going to just run him around the edge. Because, so many times I saw James Pierce just run around, just run around, not run through. There were a few times against Bama where he kind of cut inside and kind of made an impact. He was non-existent against Georgia. But Bama, he made a bit of an impact where he cut inside on the tackle and moved in. He kind of cooked Tyler Booker at times. I got to watch some Tyler Booker tape. Because I got to see what the hype is about him. Some people have him going in the top 15. Some people have him going mid-second. I don't know what you're going to get from Tyler Booker, and I've got to read more about him. But, James Pierce, back in the first round for me. I think Mike Green leapfrogged him. Jalen Milroe, accuracy is a problem, holds on the ball too long, very raw. I mean, again, he holds on to the ball way too long. And, Todd McHale's like, is it the bullets flying issue? What are we looking at here? And I think it is bullets flying issue. But, yeah, and again, Joe McCoy is physical. And I just want to look at some quick things here. Kelvin Banks, I think, falls. Matthew Golden, I really got to watch some more of him, but I have him viewed as probably early second, late first round receiver, and that's good for this class. Josh Simmons looks very good, probably late first for me. He hasn't played much, but I just don't see enough from him. Benjamin Morrison, first round pick, but I think Jahdae Barron's corner 1. And Derek Herman, I just don't understand the hype on him or Tylik, but I love what I saw from Jack Sawyer and JTT. Trey Harris, I think, falls from this as well. Wyatt Willem, I think 48 is a good rank for him. But that's all for today's episode. It's kind of rough reading through it, not having anyone else to talk to about this, but during the episode. But yeah, Carmine will probably be on next episode. It'll be over Zoom. Hopefully, Talon's on this week. It's the issues with this podcasting room. I'm trying to get it bad, but there's just issues coming up with that room itself. But yeah, thank you for watching. This will be a whole special series. This won't be part of the regular podcast. This is just going to be stuff on its own. Get recorded on Mondays and Tuesdays. Be out by around Wednesday. But yeah, that's all for today's episode. I'll see y'all next time.